Oh yes, things are heating up on the Toon transfer front. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Happy Monday, and it is a happy one to be fair because we are edging closer towards the end of June. The PSR cycle ends on the 30th of June, and as I've been saying all along, just let's try and have patience and wait to see what happens, because we know we're going to wait until that time period to start making moves, because it's not Newcastle's fault that we haven't seen anyone yet. It's the unfair financial fair play, and PSR is the reason why we haven't been able to make any moves yet. But things are heating up, talks are advancing, and Newcastle are set to be getting right into the discussions to sign new players in the next week or two. That's what we're hoping for, that's what we're waiting for. I know it's been frustrating, it's been annoying, but when you look around, the only teams that have been doing business is all the ones that somehow get away with FFP and PSR. Your Man Uniteds, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, your Liverpools. Because I know they obviously make way more money than us, the revenues are better, they can do business, but teams like us, Aston Villa and that, we have to wait. We have to wait until the end of June, start of July, before we can start really getting active. And before we get into a dream target that's been identified for Newcastle United this summer, we'll talk about James Trafford, because he's the name we've talked about since last summer. And Trafford himself has even said on podcast that he'd agreed terms with Newcastle United last year. The deal fell through. Newcastle are interested once more. We know Eddie Howe is a massive fan of the England international, and we are going to make a move for him once more. We were meant to be put off by a 40 million price tag a couple of weeks back now, but Newcastle are confident in negotiating that fee, probably down to around 30 odd million, with bonuses, with add-ons, which might see it rise to 40 million in the end for the Clarets keeper. The keeper that has been on fire for Burnley in the Championship. Loads of clean sheets last year. I can't remember the figure now. 20 odd. Watch my previous videos. I've talked about Trafford before. I had all the stats and that then. It's just over my head now because we've talked about that many times. James Trafford. But we still want Trafford. We're still eyeing him up as our new number one. Or will he be your number one? I think Nick Pope might stay. You know, I think Nick Pope might battle it out. Pope said recently that he wants to stay and fight for his place if Newcastle do sign a new goalkeeper. Although we'll have to wait and see if anyone comes in for him. I think he would stay. But if a Premier League team came in for him that he fancied that, or even a team abroad, and he fancied a new challenge, then he might have a different idea. But I think Eddie Howe definitely wants Pope to stay, have that solid option there, because we know Trafford is fantastic, with huge potential, but is he Premier League ready? That's the big question on everyone's lips still, because Burnley 2 years ago didn't quite do it, but Burnley didn't either. You know, the defence was leaking goals in front of him, you know, Company was playing a very brave, attacking, some would say a stupid style of football that's seen them get relegated quite comfortably. So you can't judge Trafford on that. I'll judge Trafford of what I've seen in the England shirt, specifically at the under-21s tournament where he was Golden Glove winner, and I'll judge him at Man City level. You know, he's very highly thought of from their academy, Bolton, and then Burnley in the Championship last year. Of course, it's a huge ask, it's a huge step up for Trafford in the Premier League, and coming to Newcastle, a Champions League team. That's why I think it's really important we do keep Nick Pope. Someone he can learn off, someone he can grow off, and someone he can really mature under. Because Pope was on the other side of this, you know, Trafford's career is just beginning. Maybe Pope's just starting to fizzle out. You know, he's still a very good goalkeeper, Nick Pope, and for goalkeeper-wise, he's still got probably a good few years left in him easily. But Pope can learn Trafford some skills, teach him some things, and then fair enough, if Trafford's completely took over Pope's jersey, maybe Nick Pope could move on in January or next summer. But hopefully we'll keep the two of them. And I know everyone's screaming and saying, why the hell are we signing another goalkeeper? I've got 400 of them. I know we have, but none of them play. Odyssey has Demos will probably go out on loan. Demos, however you want to say it. He's probably going to go out on loan. Dubravka might leave. Obviously, now he left in January, signing a new contract, but we know that it's a World Cup year coming up. He's going to want to go there. I think Dubravka still sees himself as a number one as well, so fair play to him. You might want to get a team where he's going to play every week and a fresh challenge abroad, maybe back to Saudi where he was linked to. So fair play there. And then you've got your Ruddies, your Gillespies and all the rest of them where they just don't play. So all we need is 2 or 3 goalkeepers really at the club. And I think it would be nice to have Nick Pope and Trafford battle it out for that jersey. And you would get some great competition there because Trafford's already in the England setup. Pope's been in and out of it. So they'd be spurring each other on, they'd be giving each other a kick up the arse, and it'd be great, healthy competition in goal. And we know we want to change our style of play. We know Eddie Howe likes to play out from the back. Pope's distribution is awful. Everything else is fantastic. You know, as a goalkeeper, you know, keeping the ball at the back of the net, number one, he's very good at that. But his distribution, sometimes his decision making, not the greatest. However, Trafford's is. He's very highly rated in that department, so that's where we want to strengthen. And Fabrizio Romano today has said that Newcastle are advancing talks with Burnley for Trafford, and a deal could be struck in the next week or so. That's when it's really going to become active after that PSR cycle, and Newcastle will look to start making deals. Because to be fair, it's not that long until pre-season starts. Now the lads are back on around July the 7th, and then you've got the first game away to Celtic on the 19th of July. So it's really coming fast. It's the 23rd of June the day. So Newcastle are looking to make moves very, very soon, which is what we like to see in here. Of course we do. We're craving a bloody signing. I've had one for windows upon windows. Years upon years, it feels like. So Trafford, like I said ages ago, will be the first signing. It's looking likely. It's looking very likely that he will be, if we can reach an agreement on that close to 40 million valuation from Burnley. Let us know in the comments. Are you happy with Trafford as Newcastle's new goalkeeper if we do want to sign him? Remember, it's not done. Fabrizio Romano's just saying that the deal's advancing, talks are ongoing between two clubs. It's likely there'll be an agreement reached, but now it's solid yet. So Fabrizio Romano also backed up claims from Italian journalist Matteo Moretti. What a name that is, by the way. I think it was Moretti's surname. He said that Newcastle are very interested in young Italian defender Giorgio Scalvini. Sounds like a bloody underwear brand, but it sounds delightful. You know what I mean? It sounds class, sounds like an aftershave, something like that. The Italian stallion, a young one, to accompany Sandro Tonali. I'm all here for this, mind. What a sign this would be. And according to Romano, it would be Newcastle's dream target this summer. Now remember, all the links have been for Gehi. We did want Dean Huyson, who chose Real Madrid. We did want Zaboni, who looks to be going to Paris Saint-Germain. Now we're moving down that list, moving on to the targets. And Newcastle were pleased. It was in reports the other week that we were pleased that no names from our European targets were getting leaked. Domestic ones were Premier League targets, but not ones abroad. However, now Italian journalists are picking up and reporting that Newcastle are wanting to sign Atalanta's Scalvini. Now we know we're going to have to replace Fabian Shaw. He's just had a very good season, but he is agent. We need more options at centre-back. That's why we tried to sign Gehi last summer, and it is obviously a priority position this transfer window we're in now. So now we have set our sights on Serie A's top young defender, Scalvini, the 21-year-old, 6'4" Italian international. He's had several caps for the first side for Italy. He played for them throughout the youth setup with Sandro Tonali. He's had several games with Sandro in under-21s and in the men's senior first team now. He is a top talent. He's played loads of games for Atalanta. I think it's around 80 or 90 games with about 8 goals as well. So he does chip in with one. He's got bullet header on him. He's a very technical ball-playing centre-back, as you'd expect from Italian. You know, he knows how to control the ball. He knows how to move it forward. He knows how to play with style and swagger, just like Sandro. However, a bit of competition here for Newcastle is Serie A champions Napoli, who are also keen on the defender. So let's hope Scalvini fancies a move to the Toon, and Tonali can tell him just how unreal it is. It would be nice for Tonali, mind. Give him some Italian pals there. We've got the Samba boys, we've got the Brazilians and Bruno Joelinton. Got plenty of English lads in the setup, your Burns, your Gordies, your Halls and everything, Tino. And then you've got Isak, who could be joined by a Swede this summer in Langa. So we're looking to get everyone together. Looking to get a good little party going here. Good little international setup for the teammates to rejoice. So let's hope we can get him involved there. Giorgio with Sandro. Giorgio and Sandro. What a sexy team this is starting to sound like. I'm here for it, like. Then again, Giorgio alongside Big Dan Burn. Still sexy if you ask me. And by the way, the High Performance Podcast with Dan Burn. I have to shout out Jake Humphries on this one. Fantastic. I recommend you watch that. I really enjoyed it this morning. How open and honest Burn is about mental health struggles and all the rest of it. And a great insight into Wembley and the cup win and that. Definitely check that one out, everyone. Great watch and listen. But back to Scalvini then. Atlanta, however, have just qualified for the Champions League and are against selling the youngster as they consider him a key player for next season. However, Newcastle are weighing up a bid for the 6'4" defender. In the next few days will be a key understanding whether a deal could be possible or if Atlanta will stand firm and close the door on any potential sale. Remember, in 2024, Atlanta did win the Europa League. He was pivotal and a part of that side. So he's already got some big game and big trophy experience there in the bag. But the one slight negative or confusion about this deal is on the fact that he is just coming back from a major injury, an ACL injury. Remember, Tino Livramento had that as well when we approached Southampton and we signed the young fullback. There was talks there, big risk, mind, has an ACL, how good's he going to be? That's a lot of money for him. And it worked out alright, didn't it? Livramento is absolutely sensational, one of the best in the league, flying for England at the only 21 Euros. We know how good he's been for the Toon. So Scalvini should hopefully follow Tino's footsteps. He's young enough. I think ACLs really affect the player when they hit probably late 20s. You know, I think if he's getting it now, early 20s, beginning of his career, even though he's had played loads of games and got vast experience because he made his debut for Atlanta at 17, so he's been around for a good few years now. So maybe he's thinking, fresh challenge here. I know they're in the Champions League, but they've won a trophy already. Maybe, we'll wait and see if he fancies it. But we signed Tino from an ACL injury. I think he could recover as well as he's done there, Scalvini, so let's wait and see. But I'm not worried about the ACL, to be honest, because I've seen firsthand how well Tino's kicked on with it. So I think with the right procedure, the right preparation and everything, and just easing him back, then I think he'll be alright. I think he'll continue to go on to have an illustrious career, as it looks so far for Giorgio. Let us know what you think of Scalvini, if he's a target that Newcastle should be interested. Now, there was loads of transfer links and rumours over the weekend, so we'll rattle through a few of them now. One of the main ones being a swap deal with Harvey Barnes and Anthony Langa from Nottingham Forest. Now, it's another bloody swap deal. I mean, we got done last time, so this one would be better. Well, would it? I mean, I don't want to lose Harvey Barnes. I like Barnes. I think I really rate him. And do we want to weaken the left side and then strengthen the right side? Isn't the whole point to have two great options on either flank? You know, we want Murphy and Langa. We want Barnes and Gordon. One of them could leave, of course. You know, Gordon's still linked away and all the rest of it. So it's an interesting one to keep an eye on, and it looks like something we would be interested in doing in terms of a swap with Forest like we did last year. I mentioned we got shafted. Us getting away Anderson and getting Odysseus in return didn't seem like a fair deal at all for financial fair play. But that's what happened. And now there's talks that Newcastle could look to offload Barnes as part of the package to get Langa. Now, Barnes may be interested because he knows if Gordon stays, he's got to be number 2. Even when Barnes is on fire, Gordon now is coming back into the fold eventually, doesn't he? So, if Barnes doesn't want to play second fiddle, if he doesn't want that competition again, even though we've got Champions League, that's got to be an enticement for him and to prove his point there as well during the week and that. And on the right, we know Langa's very heavily linked. That's a deal that could definitely happen this summer. The one that Howe wants is that right wing replacement now. So I like it. I like the sound of it, but I don't like the sound of losing Barnes. I just hope we can offer the money or offer a Joe Willock or a Sean Longstaff as part of the deal. One of those players we're happy to see go. Not happy to see go, but in terms of, you know, squad depth and everything, how much they're going to play, we're going to use Barnes more. Barnes can offer more, I feel, than those two players I just mentioned. So I'd rather see them being part of the deal. I'll tell you what, have Odysseus back. Any chance of that bloody happening? I really dug out Odysseus. I actually feel sorry for the bloke. He never gets a chance, but it shows how bad he must be. In 20 million... I'm not going to get into it again. But anyways, that's the rumour there. Let us know what you think of that potential swap deal. I hope it's just a cash deal for Newcastle, really, to get Langa, if that's the right winger we choose to go for. Finish off on a big name striker that was linked to Newcastle over the weekend, and that is Vlahovic of Juventus. Now, Juventus are happy to sell him because he's on massive wages. So there's the first ring of the bell that lets you know that it's probably not going to happen, because if he's on massive wages, he's not going to stay for Newcastle, because we're not going to completely break the wage structure. So unless he's happy to change that, then he could come. But apparently he might be, because reports over there in Italy are stating that he does want the move to Newcastle. Now, I don't know how reliable these sources are. To be fair, I haven't seen any mainstream journalists or even the Athletic or anything like that pick up on this story, so I didn't want to make the whole video about this one yet. So for me, Vlahovic, yeah, I would definitely have him as a backup striker to Isak to compete. That is a dream, to have someone like him of his quality. I still think he got nearly 20 goals, was it last year? In all competitions, they get 10 in the Serie A and 4 assists, so it's not bad. And like I say, the Serbian would be a backup striker. He's still only 25, even though he feels like his name's been floated about for transfers for so long now. He's always been linked to Arsenal and Man U, and now he's linked to Newcastle United. So as an option, what an upgrade on Wilson that is. Really like that signing of Vlahovic. I'd be in favour for it, but I'm just not sure how feasible it is and how true these rumours are, because like I said, I haven't seen anything concrete yet on that one, so I don't really want to go into it. We will do if other people do pick up on it. I think it's a good, strong, quality striker that could play back up to Isak nicely, could come off the bench for half an hour, could play midweek, all those sort of things. With all the games Newcastle going to have next season, the Champions League and domestically, we're going to need much better squad depth. We're now that, and Vlahovic would definitely bring that. Really, everyone, that'll do for this episode of Toon Transfers. You never know, we could be back tonight if things are starting to really heat up, as we expect to do in the next couple of weeks, but maybe not so soon. But talks are advancing with the likes of Trafford. Other targets have been identified. Let us know all your thoughts in the comments below, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give her a big like, and I'll see you on the next one.